What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kind of Funny Gamescast for Thursday, September 26th, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. the New York Game Awards nominated, a.k.a. Glasses Poppy, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Good morning, Greg.
How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Great. I appreciate the compliment on my glasses.
Yeah, the glasses you're always killing on. And again, let's recognize the biceps, all right?
Thank you.
Because you're wearing shirts a lot lately that are just fucking rocking them. You know what I mean?
You know, I'm going to the gym.
I know you are.
Like if I'm just putting on sweatshirts every single day.
What's the point?
Yeah, why am I going
this?
to the gym?
What do you mean, like as if I'm hiding my thing in a 2XL? You know, I'm hiding my body here.
Take off this shirt, Greg.
Well, no, it's Last of Us Day. I'm wearing
Show off the biceps.
No, please, they know.
You're gonna need those biceps to take out zombies.
We've seen them.
Yeah, you've seen him, Andy. Of course, he's the Hispanic heartthrob Texas Street Latino heat. Clicking heads and ripping them to shreds. The globe-trotting, headshot, 3-point shooting, rootin' tootin'. Nitro rifle from Twitch.tv. Andy Cortez.
Morning, Greg.
Good morning. How are you? You also have fantastic glasses. I want you to know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
What?
Really nice.
Oh, anytime, man. I love you. You know that.
Great. He's complimenting a lot today.
I know.
What do you think he's hiding?
I don't know.
Listen, some things are going to come out. I'm going to need the opposite. I'm going to need people over here with the good things.
Are we about to find out more stuff?
Netflix is filming
stuff.
Netflix is filming the Mr. Miller documentary right now. You know, we're worried about that.
Positive things.
I've been thinking about looking into getting those the Ray-Bans. The Gary Whitta glasses, because they're nice. I like a good chunky black frame, always have. And then, of course, I like goofy tech like that. I like wearable tech, right? That's what I want, the heads-up display. Yesterday, they announced a bunch of stuff of they can start looking and scanning and doing things.
I hate talking to people and they're on the phone, though.
Yeah.
You know, because I've had it before.
But I'm not going to be on the phone.
You're not going to talk to them, then why are you getting them? If you're not going to, use them to
Camera
chat with them.
Yeah, camera stuff, recording stuff. I mean, headphones, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Because I guess my thing is more so talking to somebody and they're in a whole different world. And
sure.
I'm like, now I just wasted 5 seconds.
I understand that, and I respect that, and I love you, and you look great. You are the king of that. I walk in, and I'm 5 minutes into talking about these chunky ass.
But you see the headphones.
Turn it down. How is it that loud?
in.
We're the only people in the fucking room.
There's a different energy though, and we've experienced. Where Gary Whitta was in the fucking office, and Roger had full-on conversations with him, and Gary just looked like he was cold shouldering Roger.
And you guys know I wouldn't do that.
And that's different than Blessing obviously wearing headphones.
Because when I'm hearing headphones,
saying
I'm
Blessing's
locked in.
music cannot be that loud. That when we're the only people in there, I'm like, hey, Bless, how you doing? What's your day like? He's just like,
when they get in there, man, I'm telling you, man, these earbuds are different.
I'm saying the PlayStation Pulse earbuds, they're really good.
Well, you know what would be cool if the
I believe
glasses...
they call it the PlayStation Explorer.
I thought I nailed it too.
What would be awesome with these glasses if they had tech in them where if you were in the other world, they go frosted.
That would be cool.
Ooh,
and it tells the person, oh, they're not like ready to accept a conversation from you right now. You know,
that'd be pretty sick.
Really neat.
Now, see,
I was blown away when an airplane window did that the first time.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
That blew me away. The
Belkana says we need to Mac. I think he means smack people with these things more. We defeated Google Glass. We can defeat Meta Glasses. But my point is, Google Glass did look dumb. I agreed. But I thanked everybody for using it that used it because I hoped we were on track to getting what I want, which is just regular ass looking glasses with functionality. Like, don't get me wrong, I want a heads up display, but that's not what these Meta Glasses do. But I hate digging for my AirPods, being able to sync up and have a conversation, but I'd go in the conference room. I wouldn't just sit there, Blessing, and just be like, mid-conversation with you, just like, hello, I'm activated like the Winter Soldier, and just walk out.
There was a time, this is before even these glasses, so I don't even know how I let this happen. I think they were wearing like Bluetooth earbuds or something, where one of my friends, he's just hanging out, and like I come up and start talking to him, and like he's talking about like wanting to go to the movies and watch the new Despicable Me, and I'm like, oh yeah, dude, I'd love to go, and he's like, yeah, we can go tomorrow. I'm like, oh, let's do it, and then like after a while, he just gives me like a weird look. And then I realized that he's on the phone with his sister, making plans with her to go see Despicable Me. Whole time I thought he was making plans with me. Yeah.
I'll never do that to you guys, all right? I just want it because they seem neat and they got things that can happen. I like setting a reminder to him. I'm bad at that kind of thing.
Video quality really good. Though.
Yeah, I know.
When Tim showed us his Mexico footage.
Yeah.
The forbidden stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he showed you?
Yeah.
It looked really good.
That's crazy.
POV was awesome.
Who
Yeah.
would film that? You know what I mean?
All right.
We're not here to talk about glasses yet. Eventually, I'll get them and we'll have a big conversation about that. But instead, right now, we're getting ready for something called the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we come to you with the biggest topics in video games, whether it be reviews, previews, or just things we need to talk about. We talk about it on the Kind of Funny Gamescast. If you want to talk with us, well, then you should be using youtube.com/kindoffunnygames for super chats. If you're watching live as we record this, whether it be on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, you can be part of the show with super chats, so you can give us your thoughts and opinions on the news, previews, reviews, or the topic we're about to get into. If you're watching or listening later, thank you for your support. Remember to like, subscribe, share, rate the podcast, leave a comment on Spotify. I finally have that ability now, too.
Oh, yeah.
That was something we talked about. I looked in there. I was like,
Yeah.
yesterday when our podcast didn't go up for like 8 hours. No, not our fault. They were up on Apple. Check it out. I was like, oh, I can comment now. Neat. I didn't. I just walked away, of course, but whatever. We need your support wherever it is. And if you love what we do here, maybe you'd want to go the extra mile and support us with the Kind of Funny membership. With the Kind of Funny membership, you get each and every episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast ad-free. You get all of our programming. That's more than 20 shows a week ad-free. You get the ability to say you're supporting a small business. You get the ability to watch us record our afternoon podcast live and privately as we record them. And, of course, you get a daily dose of me in a show we call Greg Way, which I have uploaded to the Google Drive for Cool Greg, but forgot to tell him. I need to do that. However, like I said, no must toss our way, no big deal. Some housekeeping for you. Remember, we are all about live talk shows at Kind of Funny. Your day started with Kind of Funny Games Daily, where they went through the PS5 Pro debacle. Did you try to get one? I was doing a demo, so I couldn't listen. Did you try to get one?
I tried to get the anniversary, and then when my waiting was up, it then took me to the page for the regular PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
And then I stared at it, and then I almost put a message in general of like who wants one, and then I decided to just DM Tim directly because I feel like Tim would be the only one that really want one. He never responded, and so I just didn't. So he
A waste of a cue.
Did you, Andy? Did you try to get one? You care? You care? You wanted one.
I tried. I had it.
You tried for the anniversary?
Tried for the anniversry.
Okay.
Especially at the $1,000 mark. Thought it was going to be a lot more. I was like, wow, I can make a lot more profit when I try to sell this on eBay, for $4,000.
Sure.
No, I wanted it. I didn't get it. So I had the 1 hour sort of, you have to wait 1 hour or whatever. Yeah. And the yellow bar, I was like, is this growing or not? I can't tell. Am I like psyching myself out? Am I too low on sleep or whatever?
Sure. You do that thing where you like dry erase marker on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. So then what I did was I left it up on my phone, went back to sleep for about 38 minutes, which is how long I had. Woke up, saw that it was up, sold out, got the regular PS5 Pro.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Of course, after this, we are streaming some video games. The dev team from Batman Arkham Shadow is here, and they're going to show off an unannounced feature for the game. And while I got to play it earlier, that was the demo I was taking. We'll talk about it there, too. And then after that, there's a sponsored stream for Wizard of Legend 2, Andy.
Yeah.
You will become the Wizard of Legend.
Me and Mike playing a co-op roguelite bullet hell type game.
That's fun.
Yeah.
If you're a Kind of Funny member, you can get today's Greg Way all about the video game bug that changed my life. And of course, thank you to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs and Delaney Twining. Today we're brought to you by Shady Rays and Hymns, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is and forever will be topic of the show. Ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, it is Last of Us Day, formerly Outbreak Day, of course, in the Last of Us universe, the day when the outbreak truly began and the cordyceps made their move on humanity and all hell broke loose.
Do you think we'll ever get back to Outbreak Day?
No.
No?
Yeah, maybe, and no. Well,
Just like change to Pandemic Day.
COVID Day. COVID Day.
It'll happen again,
Yeah, I think we learned our lesson there, Yeah, I definitely liked Outbreak Day better. In COVID times, I thought it makes sense to get away from it, but we've beaten it. Was it all a hoax? No one's 100% sure.
Does the vaccine do anything? Who knows?
You've had it.
Exactly. Why did I get it? I got the vaccine. Think about that.
No, vaccines work. Take vaccines. They do work. I liked it better, but it's still here and it's still an exciting one. It's crazy to look back and think that this is, it's 11 years old. The Last of Us came out on June 14th, 2013. Outrageous to think it's been that long. Part 2, of course, June 19th, 2020, and the show debuting January 15th, 2023. I don't know, man. 11 Last of Us days have happened now. That's outrageous. That's crazy, Andy.
That is pretty wild. Like every year, it reminds you of N7 Day, right?
Yeah.
Big Mass Effect fan. I love whatever news is going to come on N7 Day. It's usually merch. like
Yeah, I mean,
that's-
7 Day used to be a big deal. Outbreak Day, I feel like used to be a bigger deal as well.
We got
For
a trailer
sure.
last time though, right? Or
You
like
what?
didn't we get some kind of Mass Effect teaser?
Yeah.
last episode?
Yeah.
It was like a 10-second walk cycle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But before that, it was merch every year for the last 5 years, right? Those 6 years dating back to Andromeda. But Last of Us Day has been pretty massive recently with the show stuff. Yeah.
Of course, today's news includes The Last of Us Part 1 is coming to PlayStation Plus today and part of the catalog there. Starting today, Steam owners can purchase new Last of Us themed animated stickers, avatars, and more via the Steam Points shop. Among them is the Last of Us themed Steam Startup Deck movie. Did you see that?
No.
Pretty cool.
Bear, could you pull that up? I know I didn't link that because whatever. But I know I did. No, I didn't.
It's in the Last of Us News Day article.
Okay, good. Then yeah, that link. I thought that was me doing some other link. If you can go there and scroll down, yeah, you know how I like Steam Deck. Obviously, I love my.
You
Steam
get
Deck.
the little startup videos. Yeah.
Well, I'm explaining to somebody else. When you start your Steam Deck right, and you get the boot page of the Steam Deck logo, you can go through in the Steam shop and buy a bunch. I use Vampire Survivors. I'm a big Vampire Survivors fan. This one, cool, but not cool enough for me to change over. I've decided.
Same.
Oh, that's pretty neat. I bet you it looks super sick on OLED though.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't
Tell you
know.
what.
I wouldn't know. You know.
Maybe one day.
You should do multiple of them and then just have it do it randomly.
I like that. Is that possible?
Yeah. At least the ones that you get officially through Steam.
Neat.
Like I've got like the Portal one. I've got a few others that I do. And
I got
then
a Cyberpunk
It
one.
just like randomly chooses whenever I turn it on. It's great.
Then, of course, there's new Last of Us merchandise, including a pretty sick raincoat. Reminds me a lot of my old Peace Walker raincoat. But I digress. More importantly, the most important thing is that there is a teaser trailer for Last of Us Season 2, everybody. We finally have a look at this. I have not watched it. Andy, have you watched it?
No.
Bless, did you end up watching it? Because there was debate about putting it in Games Daily.
No, I'm not.
Ooh,
seeing it. Yeah.
okay. We're in a live
I'm
react
saving
to it, everybody. Yeah, look at that's a good raincoat, though. Throw it back up. You know? Now, granted, you look like, what, a Seraphite or whatever? Like you're killing people in the woods, but like it's still a cool raincoat.
I just love a neck like that, like the neck where the fabric
Where you
goes
can
up.
kind of cover your mouth with it.
Yeah, it's so like anime and sci-fi. I really
Sure. Start up right here.
Oh, let me see Blessing's Steam Deck startup. Oh,
Yeah.
looks real familiar.
I don't know where you know that from.
It was Pornhub.
It's Pornhub, Chan.
I
Steam Deck.
didn't know they had an official one on the Steam shop for that one.
They've gotten creative. Over the years.
Of course, The Last of Us Season 2 is coming our way, and delving into everything going on in Part 2. We are going to live react to the trailer right now. We will do our best to talk through it if you're an audio listener. I don't even know how much is going on, though, but I'm ready when you are, Barrett Courtney.
Hey there, kiddo.
Oh, you want to start or what?
Catherine Air, let's go. Marion Jackson.
Wintertime.
It looks like the game. She's gonna go in a snowball fight in a second. That's my name. Always got a guitar.
Let's try something different.
She's learning. Fucking Future Days, come on.
You can't heal something unless you're brave enough to say it out loud.
Her and Dina.
They're already just crushing it.
Fucking insanely good.
Say the thing you're afraid to say. Say it out loud, no matter what it is, no matter how bad.
Good looking man.
What did you do?
Abby.
Oh,
That's fucking awesome.
We're getting the Abby intro, gamers.
It was a giant group running at them, by the way.
Oh, the Whistler
A horde.
people.
Seraphites,
whistle.
yeah. Seraphites.
Jesus.
Looks like Tony Parker.
Jeff Wright playing Jeff Wright.
Damn. Ah.
Oh my goodness. Goosies. Little Pearl Jam right there.
You gotta have it in there. Last of Us 2025. Woo-wee! That was fucking hot.
That was real
That was
look-
fucking hot.
That was looking pretty dang
Can we go
good.
back? We don't need to do the frame by frame, Barrett, but can we go back and can you give me when Ellie's being held there at the end screaming and crying? because I assume it's the moment, right? But it looked like a difference blocking for it because in the game she's down on the ground, right? But maybe I'm wrong. Obviously, I'm extrapolating things.
It's interesting because the lighting is different. It seems different as well.
Oh, yeah, you can tell. She's acting her ass off. That's definitely, that's definitely the scene.
She's acting her ass off right now.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Also,
This could also be
in a tube top.
She looks shirtless.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, this could be a Seraphite scene as well. Because
they'd be clipping wings for sure.
Yeah, or like seeing like other people being tortured or something. Like, there's a possibility that they go even further than the scene in the video game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're going to deviate, I bet, in some ways, right? Of course, I'm going to go to Deadline, if you haven't been keeping up. This is an old article. Of course, for some reason on this one, I didn't put it. This is Nelly Andriva from June 2024. Talking about Season 2, talking to Neil, talking to Craig. Of course, when Season 2 arrives in 2025, it will be shorter than Season 1. Season 1 was 9 episodes. Season 2 is 7 episodes. Craig was very quick to point out that this isn't a bad thing. This isn't them trying to cram things in. It's actually them taking their time. Quote, the story material that we got from part 2 of the game is way more than the story material that was in the first game. So part of what we had to do from the start was figure out how to tell that story across seasons, Mason said. When you do that, you look for natural breakpoints. And as we laid it out, this season, the national breakpoint felt like it came after 7 episodes. I imagine it means natural, and that's a typo, but I'm going to read what they wrote. That's what they wrote. All right, that's Deadline, not me. That means that Mason and Druckmann envisioned the series running for at least 3 seasons and possibly 4. So far, The Last of Us has been picked up through Season 2 by HBO, so further seasons will depend on viewership, something the duo is cognizant of. Quote, we don't think that we're going to be able to tell the story even within 2 seasons, 2 and 3, because we're taking our time and go down interesting pathways, which we did a little bit in Season 1 too, Mason said. We feel like it's almost assuredly going to be the case that, as long as people keep watching and we can keep making more television, Season 3 will be significantly larger. And indeed, the story may require Season 4. Later in the interview, Mason sounded even more definitive. Quote, one thing is absolutely for sure. I don't see how we could tell this story that remains after Season 2 is complete in one more season.
Yeah, as soon as they said 7 episodes, immediately I went to, this has to be at least 3 seasons then of of what Last of Us 2 content there's going to be, because I can't imagine you getting to the midpoint break of Last of Us 2 in only 7 episodes. That feels like just way too much time to cover in just 7 episodes of content. But then that leads me to ask the question, what would be the natural breakpoints then? Because then, you have the easy one of, all right, cool, when you switch perspectives, are we going to cut earlier? Barrett has an idea.
If we're thinking of this story being over the course of
real quick timeout.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're here. We're talking about where we want The Last of Us to go. I want to be clear. I think we can. We're just doing spoilers. Spoilers are on from here. I would imagine you know enough about this.
They're talking about possibly breaking it up into 3 seasons or 2.
Possibly 3.
Yeah, Craig is saying he doesn't see how he could do 2, indicating he thinks there'd be a 4th.
See, I think of it more so as like we end the 2nd season at the break, right? You do Season 3 as Abby's perspective, and then Season 4 is expanding that last few hours into something a bit more than just it being just the last 3 hours of California.
See, I wonder if we don't get Joel's death until the end of Season 2.
That's what I'm thinking too. I think, what if you let it cook that long? Because everybody loves these characters in this world, right? Tell more side stuff and more things, and we can look through this and see if there's anything beyond it.
Like this scene itself, I feel like is an indication that that's not true, right? Them also where's the subways or
I mean, we are seeing Seraphites, but again, I'm thinking of
seeing Seraphites.
But think about, and I hear you, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong, but it is TV, right?
You could say he's wrong, Greg.
No. I mean, we don't know, right? So I'm thinking, but it's TV, right? Flash forwards, flashbacks, all these different things. You're introducing tantalizing things that for us we'd all freak out about, right? But maybe for everybody else they wouldn't.
And that's my thing is, I think maybe that builds in time for you to even set up the Seraphites a bit more independently of us, meeting them through Abby and through Ellie. Like, what if it is instead of just the two perspectives, it is now 3, and you're adding in Lev's perspective or Lev's sister's perspective as a thing, and we're getting those coinciding storylines at the same time, and they somehow meet up toward the end of season 2. I know that's tougher to do with the Seraphites, but I think a powerful season 2 ending would be to build the Ellie and Abby story at least independently, and then at the end, maybe in the last couple of episodes, get them finally meeting, and it's like, oh shit, all right, the meeting of Titans is here.
Yeah.
Do you worry about losing audience members by killing them at the end of season 2?
Well, see, my thing is, I think penultimate episode you'd kill him, because I think you'd get, and this is in this world. I think the natural breakpoint, yes, is to tell Ellie's story, then start Abby's or whatever. But if the way I would do it, if you're like, no, we're just going to do this, right? I think you have to have the last episode of the season, or maybe even the second to last episode of the season, be the morning. You know what I mean? Of Ellie going in and hugging the jacket and going through his stuff and finding the space books and all that stuff, right? Of seeing him trying to connect again. And you know how much they flash back around here. And then I think the way to set you off for the next season in this world, if that's what you're doing, it would be all right, let's go fucking, Tommy shows up and we saw, let's go. And they go
Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, let's go hunt some orc.
Yeah.
So are you saying that they tell a fuck ton of original story leading into the penultimate episode of season 2?
I'm saying
Because
throughout season 2, when we're talking about trying to, why would you have flashbacks? Why would you have the Seraphites? Why would you have this? I think you're introducing more people that you have to flesh out in a different way.
Yeah. That's my thought too, is
if that's how they did it.
I think you maybe take more time to flesh out in that way, and I think there's flashback stuff that maybe you could fill into season 2 as opposed to like doing it throughout the rest of the episodes. Of course, like the pivotal flashbacks you save, right? The flashbacks of toward the end of The Last of Us, where we get the reveal of what was it? Ellie essentially telling Joel to fuck off. It's been a long time now, so I can't remember the exact verbiage, but maybe you save that for when that happens in the natural progression of the story. But I feel like there's other stuff in terms of building the characters. Maybe you can even like have a younger Abby and her experiencing what happened with her dad, right? Like maybe you can have that in a season 2 as opposed to getting around there in season 3 or 4.
We had a full ass episode about Bill and Frank, right? Like I think the show in season 1 really took its time, and there were several episodes where it's like, man, I expected more to have happened. I'm still enjoying it, but they are really kind of taking their time getting to these next story beats. So it feels like they can kind of stretch out one plot beat into a full episode if needed,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm interested to see what they end up doing with it.
Yeah, it's one I've thought about a lot, because I think it's an interesting conversation as far as the reaction to The Last of Us 2 from the audience, and like obviously Naughty Dog is seeing all of this shit, right? And like there's so many levels as far as the reaction Last of Us 2, as far as like, there's the pure toxic reaction of like, just gamers being like
gamers gaming.
Yeah, like a toxic faction of gamers being toxic. But then I think there is like legitimate critical analysis they can have around Last of Us Part 2 and whether it's successful in telling the kind of story it wants to tell. What are the things that it could do better? Is it a masterpiece? What does Neil think about all of it, right? Has Neil had change how hard it would not even be the right way to put it, but like
different perspective,
right? Has 4 years of Last of Us Part 2 being out, has his perspective on how he would like to tell this story in a different format changed at all? Because I'm of the mind that like, I think it is a large ask of the audience to, and I think we got this with Last of Us 2, the video game, right? Introduce us to Abby, have her immediately kill Joel, and then get us on Abby's side. That's like the entire mission of the game, and I think it worked for a lot of people, but I think for a lot of people,
mediums are different, right? Mediums are different, and
yes.
I know that's the point.
That's what I'm driving to.
But I want to say, like, if this was just Neil making a show for the first time or whatever, I think what he's gonna do. Craig Mazin is from the television world. The television world is cognizant of literally where everyone left The Walking Dead, right? Glenn gets killed. Spoilers for The Walking Dead. Glenn gets killed, right? Abraham too, but like Glenn gets taken out, and so many people were like, "Oh, I don't like this. I don't like Negan. I don't want to be a part of this." And whereas in the comic, that was such a moment, right, where it was like, "I got to keep reading. I got to know more." Blah, blah, blah. For so many other people in television, it was a turnoff. So I really do think for season 2, right, you've got to have it be. We have to understand Abby's motivations in a different way, right? Like, I don't know if it makes sense to... Is it bold enough that season 2 opens with Abby mourning her dad, and that's where we start, and then it's like, then we're back to Joel and Ellie. You kind of forget about that, and then we see the introduction of her. And
my other argument with it, too, and this is like, to add on to the exact point I think we're making here, is Last of Us Part 2 is a video game, right? In terms of mediums are a different thing. I think part of what Last of Us Part 2, the video game, tries to do as far as getting us back on Abby's side, or like trying to like show us both sides of the story and get us to at least identify with Abby to a bit, even if you don't end up liking that character or whatever it is they literally put you in her shoes. They give you the controller and go, hey, you're controlling this character for 10 hours.
Yeah.
And you don't have a choice in the matter. I think part of what Last of Us 2 is doing is, as a video game, like, you know, critiquing what it means to, like, you know, have access to these violent actions and take out these violent actions as these characters in a story. You don't really have that same benefit of doing that in TV. So I think naturally you have to do it differently. I don't think you can do it beat for beat the same way that you did in the video game. And I do think a part of, I think, helping out that, ease of like getting us there where it is, you know, Abby kills Joel and then we take off with Ellie on this revenge quest is, I think, building it a bit more to a place where it is almost more of a gut punch when we get there, where we're like, well, maybe we aren't like this, but like maybe a new audience is like, oh, I didn't expect this of Abby. I've known Abby for 4 episodes now. She wouldn't do such a thing, and then you get to where she kills him.
You can't show Abby though. Like it needs to be a surprise.
Currently working in the chat says, trouble is if you establish Abby's character, then the viewer will guess she will kill Joel, and the impact will be completely flat in the show. What if rather than we start with her in the hospital mourning her dad, right? What if it's the shot you saw there of her in a graveyard mourning her dad, right? And it seems like it's this weird one-off or whatever. The viewer doesn't understand that her dad got killed by Joel and Ellie, right? If you're a new viewer.
That's how you do it in the TV show. I don't know how it would play for people who've already played the game, but I think in a TV show where you're establishing this new character, and you know she lost her dad, and you don't exactly know how, and then the big build-up is that, like, oh, they found out the town where he killed, that this guy is living in, and this is the guy that killed her dad and all this stuff. And then, like, at the moment, if, like, we are doing the whole, if we're killing Joel episode, what is it? It's 7 episodes this season?
Yeah.
Episode 6, episode 7. I think that's where the gut punch comes in, and that's how you avert a lot of people dropping off like they did in Walking Dead.
And see, I think one of the interesting things is, if we're spitballing this, which I love that we are, Episode 1, we open, it's Abby mourning her father. We don't understand how he died. We don't understand what happened. It's whatever. Her setting off on her journey with her group of friends, right? Looking, because they want payback or whatever. Maybe not even that much on the nose, but it's their daily life doing the thing for an entire episode, right? And then, at the end, I think you could get to the thing where Tommy and Joel end up on their doorstep, come in, look, it's because we do, knock him out or whatever in credits. Right, and then the viewer pieces together that's what it was. Maybe even get a flashback to whatever of her finding her dad dead after all of that kind of thing. Then the next episode 2 is more in line with the game. That is, we wake up in Ellie's shoes and we go find Dina, and we had a fight with Joel last night. We're out of time, you know what I mean? But you set it up that way to make the viewer understand what Abby's doing. Or why mad, we're on her side, this fucking sucks, she seems cool. Oh shit, it was Joel that ruined her life.
I really do like the idea of setting it up an Abby episode that is akin to the Bill and Frank episode, where it is more standalone. This is a Abby story. My pitch would even be, maybe that could be your route of introducing the Seraphites and have it be, you don't start off with Abby's dad. Maybe you start off with some kind of conflict between.
You show how they get radicalized or something.
Yeah, like you show some, like you tell some story between the Seraphites and the wolves, and maybe toward the end of the episode, that's when you get the reveal of like Abby's dad is gone, and like you have the episode on this very like dour note, and then we don't see her till a couple episodes later, or maybe the next episode, where it is, oh shit, we learn as the audience that she's killed, or that Joel's killed her dad.
We'll also get a full ass Dina episode. You got to assume. So that
Dina?
That adds like so that adds like even more time to to sort of flesh out this whole season, because I know 6 episodes, if we are predicting that around maybe episode 6 or whatever, or at least the end of the season, that's where we see Joel get that golf club, the 360 yards down center, landing on the fairway. Like, there's still plenty that they can kind of explore to fill out that time without it feeling like filler.
I've not played The Last of Us 2 since Last of Us 2 came out,
right?
And so I don't remember fully what that like intro sequence was before Ellie goes off to Seattle, but there was quite a bit in there, right? Like I remember there was the whole scene where Ellie and Dina like get lost in a place and smoke weed and all that shit. Right?
Yeah, it's a good, I would say maybe an hour and a half, 2 hour build up. There's a lot of going back and forth.
What you eating?
Human.
Proposition chicken.
Nice. Oh, wow.
Leftovers.
Oh, God, that's a great one. That's a great one. Barrett, can you do me a favor and get the trailer back up? One thing I feel like I have not played The Last of Us Part 2 since I platinumed it. But I don't remember the horde we saw here of freakers running at him. I use Days Gone terminology. You know how I am.
Boozers out there.
Running and crushing the fence down on top of you or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
that's when Abby's trying.
That
when she
was
meets
a
up.
shot like recreated almost.
Yeah, that's when she's like. That's when Abby meets up with Joel. When Joel saves her right here.
Yes.
Joel and Tommy save her.
Yes.
When they meet up with her.
Okay.
They don't know who she is, but she's just like a random person.
Well, so
in
here's my
danger.
point, right? Like, I wonder if this is Ellie right here.
No, that's Abby.
Go back. Is it really?
Yeah,
it's
Abby.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was Ellie
I take
too.
back everything I was going for. I apologize. And then, yeah, you're right. Then it is the handgun of Joel coming in. Okay, cool.
Hey there, kiddo.
How buff do you think she is under that jacket? Like, you think she's got the biggest biceps of all time?
Big veins, yeah.
And the horrors before they get back to lunch. I
Throwing
guess so. Yeah, I
haymakers at
forgot that
Joel.
point. I forgot
She
that
doesn't
point.
even use a golf club this time. Just her
Was it
fists.
that big of a horde?
Punches his head off.
It was
yeah.
pretty-
it was
I
pretty
remember. I remember her going on the walk with her ex, and then going on the thing. What happened? What happened there?
He just dropped a bunch of water. He wasn't even like a spit take. He just had a bunch of water fall out.
I was like, what the fuck? I didn't say a joke this time.
No, I just thought back to Buff Abby again for some reason. And water just fell out.
You just think about Abby punching Joel's head off.
Calvin says the shot is new. Somebody else says it's new. I remember running from the zombies, but I remember them being unfrozen and popping out, and like I just don't remember it being that big of a group.
It was a buttload, but they
was
probably
a butt.
they
Okay.
probably aren't.
I'm not arguing.
They're exaggerating here for television, artistic license. You know, more scary.
I hate that when they take real events and
Yeah.
dramatize them.
Well, it's because the PS4 couldn't render that many.
Of course.
On the PS5 Pro, though, that's how it
Of
would look.
course,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's get some super chats in here as we're talking about what we want out of The Last of Us, period, as a franchise. We want to talk about Part 3. We're going to talk about this Season 2. We're going to talk about the more seasons. I want to talk about multiplayer. A bunch of different stuff is happening here, right? But Calvin Perez, can't stay, but the shot of Abby by the grave is similar to Ellie in the game. I love adding stuff like that. Then I like this one too. Mara writes in and says, the entire point of the story was to make you hate Abby first, then sympathize with her. Doing it in reverse completely undermines the themes. I'm not saying you're wrong. You remember when I said that earlier? You guys were like, say he's wrong. But it is the idea of like, television's different, and would you want to stay, especially for as long as this is going to be? You're going to break this into 3 seasons of television. If you're setting up that if we hate Abby by the end of season 2, and then season 3 is her perspective, it is going to be a bitch to get people excited to go watch that. Like, you need to sympathize with her early, right? You need to care about her early.
Yeah, I think I worry about if you were to do that switch on like a season break and have people sit with that Abby hate for 2 years before you get that next season, and it starts off and you're just getting these Abby episodes. Like,
It's dangerous.
Yeah, it's
It's a
dangerous.
public safety
You know?
issue.
You're riding in the streets for 2 years. Yeah, like I think it's like one thing to ask it in a video game, which I think was already a tough ask, and I think you lost a lot of people that way. But again, it's art, so maybe that is what you want to do. Maybe that's the story you want to tell or whatever. But I think even in a video game where you're playing it usually all at once, still a tough ask, and they did it in a TV show where you might have 2 years to sit on that. It's tough. I think it comes back to it being a different thing. I think you can capture a lot of the same themes though. I think you can capture all of the same.
Well, that'd be my thought.
Things
Like,
you want to say.
Even if it's just one episode of us sympathizing with Abby, and then the reveal that she's the one who's gonna the person she's out to kill is Joel. I think she can kill Joel, and we can sit there and be like, I fucking hate her for killing Joel, but I understand a little bit of what was going on for her, and then we continue to expand on that and go that way.
I agree. I tend to agree with that. Yeah.
All right, good. Everything's on my side. Just not Mara. Somebody else who went through that.
Sorry, Mara.
It's okay. It happens all the time. People are gonna, it's gonna be.
Muttering to himself. Just muttering to
Just
himself.
When I want to talk about how long Last of Us show will go and what that means for Last of Us Part 3. But first, I want to remind everybody that we wouldn't be here without your support. If you love the Kinda Funny Gamescast coming to you each and every day from an 11-person small business alongside Kinda Funny Games Daily, alongside streams that are breaking new game modes all the time, you should go over and pick up a Kinda Funny membership on patreon.com/kindafunny or youtube.com/kindafunny games. You can pick up a Kinda Funny membership. You can support us and you can get all of our shows ad-free. But since you're not using your ad-free benefits right now, here's a word from our sponsor.
This episode's brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends over at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair that we've worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. With an extensive array of styles and colors, you're bound to find the perfect pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Y'all know I've been outside a lot in the sun playing some Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing my Shady Rays when I'm out and about looking dope. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. Head to shadyrays.com and use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. You can try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. shadyrays.com, use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. This episode is brought to you by Hims. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we'll always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims has treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing access to affordable sexual health treatments, all from the comfort of your couch. No insurance is needed. Pay one low price for your treatments, online visits, ongoing shipments, and provider messaging. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/kindafunny. That's HIMS.com/kindafunny for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/kindafunny. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products, which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions, details, and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
And we're back.
We're sitting here during the commercial break, and I noticed Bless kind of scrolling through something on his laptop, and I look up and I just see his head and his body do like a nod,
like I got
hell
this.
yeah. And I was like, oh, what's going on Blessing's laptop? Maybe he's reading some big news or excited about something. And it's Sonic necklaces, Sonic jewelry.
They've first of all, it's King Ice. They're chains.
First of all, it's King Ice.
King Ice, and they've announced new Sonic collaborations.
Oh, okay.
And so they're adding in some characters that are some deeper cuts that I really appreciate. They got Mecha Sonic in here. They got Silver the Hedgehog. I don't know who this gold one is. It looks sick as fuck.
I know who that. Oh, come on, I know who that one is.
Is that not just a gold silver? Who the fuck is? Oh wait, is that?
It looks like a weed leaf. On it,
It kind of does, yeah.
Who's the gold one, Chad? Who's the silver gold one looking? That's a good point, though. Isn't that just a gold silver? That's a funny one. I also want to bring up the other day when Roger posted the Sonic Cross Justice League. Kind of Funny Games Daily News.
Yeah.
And the conversation back and forth was just really, really fascinating because Roger says Sonic not being Superman is fucking insane. And Blessing Adeoye Jr. replies, but also makes so much sense that he's Flash and Knuckles is Superman. Sonic is a humble king. Also, Tails as Cyborg is fucking ill. And Roger replies, Knuckles is Batman, Shadow, Red Hood, Sonic, Superman. And I just... Like,
have you ever been more ashamed to be associated with people?
I wanted you to reply to your own conversation like,
God,
gross.
here he comes.
Like,
Here he comes, everybody.
Come on, man.
Here, take my seat. Defend your honor. Roger Picorni, get in here.
Not much to defend.
Knuckles is Superman makes
not
sense.
much to defend. It's just, it's just kind of fucked up that people are trying to stop us from having a normal conversation.
Yeah.
A normal conversation
Average
about...
Joe on air says, bro is not beating the allegations.
Listen, Sonic, it runs fast.
Yeah.
Just like Flash does.
Okay, but they all run fast. That's
but
like their whole
Sonic,
point.
But Sonic runs the fastest.
Sure, but like...
And
not,
like Knuckles is strong and he punches hard, like Clark Kent, Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of selling me, actually.
Tails,
See, this
Tails
is pretty
is smart.
solid.
He's techie, like Cyborg.
Andy,
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that Blessing was scared of getting a PS5 Pro 30th anniversary
I know.
edition because he thought that like if he brought someone over, they would reject him for how nerdy he is.
Which is also the same reason why I don't put Sonic shit in
He
my
also,
house.
yeah, he had his Sonic 3
But what
poster.
if you roll up with a King Ice Sonic necklace to the date?
He had a Sonic 3 poster of Shadow, and he just looks at me. He's like, "I love this. This is cool. I gotta throw this away.
I can't take this home.
There's nothing I can do
It's
with
just
it."
there's a shadow poster that's just under my desk at work now, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
Can I put it in the streaming
Great.
room? Can I
Yeah.
just
Stop
hang it up
shaming
there?
us, Andy. Stop
I
shaming.
love him. Love you guys. I love you guys.
I'm not saying it never happens, but like people like us tend to pair up with people like us. Like, who do you think you're gonna bring? What supermodel? What heart surgeon are you bringing home? Who's like, I've never even heard of a video game. Aren't
I'm-
video games for children?
Dating apps are different, man. Dating apps are
Different.
all walks of life.
I'm trying to find a CEO.
Yeah.
I need to get my
Sugar
money
mama.
up.
We need sugar mama.
Listen,
We need
God knows this job isn't gonna give it.
Money
I'm in
and
San
money,
Francisco. I'm trying to find a high earning.
How the fuck am I going to get a house here?
Yeah. If you are a doctor out there.
Joey Ratstone, you're just hanging out at like UCSF the hospital. You're in the cafeteria buying Cokes.
Have you heard of Sonic?
Joey Radstone super chatted while we were in commercial and said, I think Joel only makes it through 2 episodes because Pedro was already filming Fantastic Four when they were still barely into production of season 2. Andy, you mentioned this, that you had heard he only filmed a couple days or whatever.
Yeah, this was going viral on Twitter when you see the notifications from whether it was discussing film or whether even it was somebody like Neil Druckmann or something saying Pedro Pascal has, ended his filming, Pedro
wrap on
Pascal,
Pedro.
thanks. That's a
Yeah.
wrap on Pedro. It's like, and everybody was replying, "Oh, yeah, we know why." That is all kind of obvious, and it felt like he was on set for about 7 hours, maybe. Yeah, that's about it. Couple scenes.
He's efficient.
Get the fuck out of there. Yeah.
He's one shot.
All right, we
They call
need,
it-
we need you in the barn. We need you
Yeah,
on
yeah.
your porch. We need you talking to Catherine O'Hara, who looks like she's your therapist.
Yeah, get on that Gladiator / Marvel diet, Get them workouts.
Man, they
going.
call him one take Pedro.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
They
He's
do.
efficient. He
They
gets
do.
in, he gets out.
Pop Pedro.
Speaking of season 2, and part 2 then maybe being season 2, 3, and 4. The question I have is, how long do you think this show will actually run?
I'm saying 4 seasons.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think the show ends at the end of Last of Us 2, and I think it'll take them 3 seasons to tell. And so I'm gonna say it ends at season 4. I don't think we get a Last of Us 3 included in here.
Okay. Andy?
Gosh, it depends on what the episode lengths are for 3. Because if they shorten it down to maybe like 6 and 6 for hypothetical season 3 and 4, that would make sense to me. But we're getting to that point where, like, what is that? Maybe 25 hours of gameplay in that sort of like second half of stuff, maybe 15 to 20 or whatever. They would really have to kind of start siphoning for any sort of content for flashbacks and all sorts of things like that.
Yeah.
I would hope it doesn't go 4 only for the fact that I don't want it to be extended for reasons where we go, great season, except this took too long, except this development was like a slog, and this could have been sped up pacing wise. Like, I really hope we don't get to that point.
Do you think there's a possibility that that Last of Us Part 3 gets anywhere close to coming out around the end of the season's ending for this?
No.
I go to Paul Tassi over at Forbes. Last of Us 3 is happening, probably not until next decade on PS6, though, was his headline. Some editorializing in there. But the part he's breaking out is Naughty Dog just released a 2-hour documentary about the making of The Last of Us Part 2, a fascinating look at the controversial, widely awarded video game. And of course, somewhere in those 2 hours, some news was made. Neil Druckmann says that he's figured out a concept for The Last of Us Part 3 because their quote is probably one more chapter to this story, end quote. He figured it took 2 years between the publishing of season 1 to now get to season 2, right? So 2023 to 2025, which if we wanted to stick with the same things means season 3 could be in 2027, which means season 4 could be in 2029. I wrote 39. Yeah, it'd be a bit further out. When do you think you could possibly see Last of Us Part 3? There's obviously been rumors Naughty Dog's working on something that's not Last of Us. So even if they are, I mean, Neil has an idea. Neil's also busy making a TV show and being all over the place.
If I were to put an approximation on whatever the thing is they're working on right now that is not The Last of Us 3, I would say 2027, and then I would say Last of Us 3 probably 2031.
Yeah.
God
See,
dang, that's so far.
And that's where I'm at, right?
Holy
Like,
shit.
I think if I'm trying to not even be conservative about it, right? Maybe 2026 for
The new thing?
Yeah, for the new thing.
God, by that point, all of the East Coast is just underwater, right? Like,
Yeah.
all of Florida just flooded
But
over.
then, yeah, like maybe 2030, 2031 for Last of Us 3. I think my thing, I guess, going back to the Last of Us season part 3 being included in a TV show, I don't think Last of Us 3 won't get adapted to a TV show. I think if it does, it might just be like a new show. I think you end with season 2, or you end with part 2 in whatever season you're in.
Yeah.
And like, I think at that point we're at a place where maybe you aren't able to coordinate like a Last of Us Part 3 story and what you have going on with the TV show, and you go, all right, that's the end of it. But we release Last of Us Part 3, we let that sit for a second, and guess what? We get to tease the return of the Last of Us TV show, and it's not season 5. It is just Last of Us : I don't know, Endgame.
See, I think it'd be interesting of just not even having to put a colon on it. I mean, why we don't do that with shows that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure
Fear
there
the
are.
Walking Dead.
You're the Last of Us.
But that's like yeah. But I'm saying, I'm sorry. What I'm on the precipice of saying is, why not just whenever they're done with the story from Last of Us Part 2? And I agree that Last of Us Part 3 will not be out by the time Last of Us Part 2 finished, or the Last of Us TV shows, Last of Us Part 2 story won't be finished by the time that's out. But I would say just be like, yeah, we're done, and then the door's open if there's more. And then when they release the game, if there's still the juice and people can sign their contracts, yeah, come back and still just call it Last of Us. Like, people would understand. It would be such a video game moment for a TV show, right? Of like, oh shit, it's back.
I would love for it to be a Game of Thrones thing where Craig Mazin is like, we got to finish the show even though the books aren't done, even though the game, Last of Us 3 isn't done, it's still in development, but we're going to make our own ending. And then, like, you know, Neil's over there like, I'll finish the game one day, you know, who knows? Who knows if my ending will be different, you know, they're taking their own creative licensing over there.
I guess I think of it as more of a House of the Dragon, or what was the other one? The Game of Thrones is House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings has a new show.
Rings of Power. Prequel.
Yeah, and I guess prequel might put it in a different place, but I think about it more akin to that of, you know, with a, why not call it, just, you know, stick to The Last of Us and just, you know, make it Last of Us season 6 whenever you're ready to do it. I like the sense of finality, right? Like, artistically, like being able to go, and that was the show. I feel like we suffer a lot from people stretching things out in ways that that they don't need to be, right? And I think being like, all right, we'll be back with another season whenever we're ready to do another season, even if it's 5 years from now. I think we get into a weird waiting game of like people just getting impatient and being like, oh, where the fuck is the next Last of Us season? When's it going to course out with the game? I think you open yourself up to just too much fan impatience and too many like questions of when is this next thing going to happen, that it's easier to go, all right, we're done. And then whenever you're ready to come back with part 3's story, come back and call it something different. Or I guess you could call it The Last of Us and have it just be a revival sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just not thinking of it as like the same continuous run of like these Last of Us seasons, if that makes sense.
See, is in the same way we talk about Xbox is done with generations, PlayStation isn't, but they kind of are. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? It's just Last of Us. Just pop when you see the Last of Us logo. You know what it is. I don't need a colon. I don't need some, you know, whoever Lev's journey.
Factions.
Oh, come on now.
I mean, listen,
What do you want to see out of Last of Us 3, the game, Blessing?
out of the game, we had this conversation before, I think, predicting
Once or twice, yeah.
Yeah, predicting what they're going to do with the game. I don't know. Like, I want to be surprised.
Yeah.
I am fascinated by what more story that we have with Abby and Lev. And so I'd love to see, especially Lev's character. I would love to see that come back. I'd love to see what's going on with Ellie, even though I don't know if I need another like solely Ellie focused story. Like, I don't need Ellie to be a main character throughout a new Last of Us game. But I'm sure there's still more stuff with that. I know the conversation that we had a while ago that got me excited for our fan fiction of a story was like, what, it was years and years into the future, and like we're following an older Lev, and Lev meets up with like Ellie and, or I guess Dina's child, right?
Yeah.
That's like around Ellie's child age, right? Like, let's say a 14-year-old, I forget what the kid's name is, John or some shit.
Is JJ or is it?
Is it JJ?
No, I think that's JJ.
JJ Barea.
It is JJ.
JJ, yeah, meeting up with like a younger JJ, and it becomes maybe JJ and Lev. They go off on an adventure and like have conflict around like, oh, your mom beat the shit out of my mom or some shit. I don't know. I'd have to go back and listen to the podcast to get the exact details, but I think there's something there that you can do maybe.
Right now the market is open for like a 5v5 arena shooter, you know? You get in there, maybe there's like a hill control type mode, maybe there's like a kill confirm type mode. It's
like,
space sci-fi kind of vibes.
Have like multiple characters that each have their own abilities.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, a lot of
That'd
passives.
be sick.
Really neat. I'm down for it.
Do you have anything you want for real from a part 3?
Make it good. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I trust that if they are even willing to make a part 3, that they see it as a challenge for themselves to,
Of course.
let's creatively challenge ourselves to find something awesome in here. Otherwise, I legitimately don't think that they would make a part 3 if they didn't feel like it was worth making. I know there's a lot of money and a lot of like, well, somebody's got to make a part 3, right? But part of me is excited by that team and those minds saying, we got to do something and we got to make it good. And we can do this, because everybody looked at part 2 and was like, shit, they're going to make a part 2? Really? Part 1 ended so perfectly. And when Neil said there's more story to tell, it's like, all right, great. Hey, we trust you. So part 2 ended up being awesome. Make it good. Single player story, same sort of stuff. Give me conflict. Give me gray areas. I love all that stuff.
You figure it's gonna have a
Violence.
theme, right? Part 1 was love. Second one, part 2 was hate. Like third one's got to be forgiveness. You know what I mean? Acceptance.
Fear leads
I
to
figure-
anger.
you figure
Anger leads to hate.
Whether
Hate
you're, I don't think you'll
leads to
play as
suffering.
Ellie, but I think Ellie comes obviously to be a major side character, probably be a Joel type character, and I feel like part of her story is she's got to put her demons away, right? She's got to have. I'm sure I see her as a dejected loner, right? Like I feel like she's more on track of becoming the Bill of the story than the Joel of the story. Well, I guess Joel's in a similar boat, but at least he had like Tess in the beginning, right?
Fascinating.
Fascinating indeed. And fascinating.
Co-op.
You think so? Not a chance.
I mean, like, just give me the ability. I'm not saying it has to be co-op. I'm just saying if you're going to be rocking with an NPC character, let somebody else be in there, you know?
You and Nick play through?
Look at the beans.
Only bricks?
Beans.
I mean, Nick will be dead by then.
The can of
By the
beans.
time we get this, Nick will be dead.
Yeah.
Pulverizer goes through and says, didn't Ellie forgive Abby at the end, or did she just spare her? I believe she forgave her to some degree, but I think more importantly is Ellie forgiving herself. I think that's what I think part 3 would be for me in terms of love, hate, forgiveness. It's the forgiveness of, I think, Ellie fucked up her entire life to head off on the journey she went on in part 2, right? And you see her at the very end trying to play, and she can't. She's lost even music, which was her, one of her inspirations, right? One of her only outlets. To have that gone as well, and the way she walks away and the way she leaves that guitar there, to me, always spoke of how lost and alone she is now. And I don't think she's shaken that off in my head canon, fan casting, whatever.
Yeah,
for part 3.
The playing of the music is all the broken relationships, the hand with the missing fingers, like everything's just, you can't play that anymore, and you can't do a lot of other things in your life because of this just terrorism spree you went on.
Salty Surprise points out Ellie can
She
still
really
play the
did go on
recorder.
a terrorism.
Oh, she can't play recorder, that's right.
Yeah, I think my thing with that is, are you able to tell that in a standalone game that is like, a part 3 that is also telling its own story across 20 hours or whatever? Because I think to do a story that is themed after forgiveness, so much of it would have to be about the events of part 2. And I don't know if I want to play a part 3 that is all about reflecting on part 2.
Well, see, I think it would go this way, where I think I don't think you're playing as Ellie. I think she's a side NPC, right? That's doing the Joel thing. But I think, I see what I'm confusing that. She's a side character, right?
Yeah.
But I think she's the older reflection of whoever we're playing as, who is a person setting off on their current thing, where if they do, it's very much, I was going to quote a country song nobody would know, and most people wouldn't know, but it's the idea of like,
All my exes live in Texas.
it's the idea of like seeing her and like, oh, that's where that journey leads. So seeing Ellie so bitter leads our protagonist to making the choices not to do that, right? To forgive whoever they're mad at. And then also her seeing that journey allows her to forgive herself. Would be my way.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not smart. I go back to what you're saying of like, I want to be surprised. Neil and team are way more creative and way smarter than I am in any way.
And
shape, or form.
I'm also back in the place where I was at after Last of Part 1, where I kind of don't want a part 3. I'm very satisfied with just having part 1. Part 2 took so much out of me that I'm like, all right, I feel good. I don't need any more of this Last of Us thing. If they make another Last of Us, I guess my thing is I don't want it to be as dark and as fucked up as Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
You worry about them wanting to one up those experiences.
And like, you know, violence is one thing because I like a violent video game, but even thematically and how much it was driven by hate and how much it was driven by revenge, and like Ellie and I go back to, and I guess this isn't spoilers, right? But like Final Fantasy 16, there's a fight between the main character Clive and like one of the earlier boss characters, and I loved how much they hated each other. Right, there was like a level of like, damn, these guys fucking just want to tear each other's like guts out, right? And it's fucking sick.
But that's a different vibe because it's all like kind of anime vibes.
Yeah, and like Ellie and Abby gave me that same thing, but I think the rated R-ness of it and the fucking like, we're gonna fucking chop each other's limbs off, like we're gonna fuck each other up. That was just a bit much combined with all of it, right? The killing of Joel, like, you know, the Seraphites and how they were clipping people's wings, like all that shit just got to a point where I was like very Last of Us out by the time I finished that game. And so for Last of Us 3, I kind of would like to go back to Last of Us 1 a bit of like, hey, this doesn't have to be the darkest world of all time. We can maybe tell a more personal story that might be about hope, or might be about like, I guess, a lighter topping than how hate driven Last of Us 2 was.
Again, with the forgiveness bit, and again with Ellie, I wouldn't be surprised if it did end on a happy, quote unquote, note. I mean, it's not a happy universe, right? But a happier universe where it was like they do find someone else to do the vaccine, or Ellie gives herself up to, or, you know, I mean, gives her life to benefit a whole bunch of people, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I think, but I'm with you. If you're going to leave it and walk away for good, what does that look like? But for now, before we go, of course, we have plenty of video games to stream here. Last of Us multiplayer. Blessing, will we ever see it in the franchise again?
No.
Remember December 14th, 2023. In ramping up to full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear, Naughty Dog said. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we'd have to put all of our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development on future single-player games. So we had two paths in front of us: become a solely live service game studio, or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage.
And you don't believe those words.
Just really makes you think that if they could do things over, what would they do? Like the Monday morning quarterback type shit of like, if we could have just gone back in time and told
Jim Ryan,
Firewalk, or Jade Raymond Studio, hey, all hands on deck, we're making this Last of Us game. The IP is what's going to drive this, as opposed to, you know, people maybe buying into a new IP that they have no idea about or have no attachment to. This Last of Us multiplayer game is something that can bring in revenue for some time. I know y'all are working on your projects. You might get back to them one day, similar to Campo Santo with Valve. Hey, you're working on that in the Valley of the Gods. We're putting that on hold probably forever.
You are.
Come work on our other shit, you know?
I
would, you know, that's like ideal world for them to say, let's put all your projects on hold, all hands on deck. Let's get this multiplayer game going.
Yeah.
Because the next Last of Us will take a long time to come out, and we would love to have something in between then, you know?
Yeah.
Imagine the beginning of next year getting some sort of, you know, open alpha or whatever the hell, you know, like how amazing that would be for the brand and for the momentum of that name.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Monday morning quarterback and making it happen. Yeah, I think would have been Jim Ryan at the time, right? Herman running PlayStation Studios, but being like, hey, Naughty Dog, you keep being Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
We're going to have this team, XDev, whoever, whatever, make a Last of Us multiplayer game.
Give them access to all your assets.
Oversee it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's get all the input. Let's have weekly check-ins and yada, yada, yada. But like, we're making a live service team or hiring one of these live service teams or giving it to Bungie or whatever the fuck you're going to do. Have Bungie make up their own team that does this, and they're going to chase this because, yeah, people want to live in this world. They want to play that IP. They want to do this, but that's not the right move for you.
Does Naughty Dog want to let other people play in their playground in that way, though?
Of course not.
Yeah,
which is,
I think that's the problem.
But I think again, like,
I think that happens a lot, though. Like after reading Press Reset from Jason Schreier, reading it by reading, I listened to it, all of it.
Dude, shut that counts.
It was a good read.
Yeah.
And talking about how the Halo devs were really anxious about this other studio working on Halo Wars and how much there was like, that's our baby. You can't mess with our baby. But that's the business and
That's
Shit will
my
happen,
biggest thing where it's like, and we don't know how much the tail wags the dog or anything like that over there. I know Naughty Dog obviously is at the top of their game and they can do assumedly what they want. And I'm sure Neil can say no and walk out of a room. I don't know how much of that's like, well, we don't step on their toes versus what they can actually do. But at some point it would be like, listen, this isn't the kind of game you'd want to make. We want to make this. We own the IP. We need to do something.
We don't want to see Joel doing the floss dance and fucking, Ellie doing a gritty,
Just Nathan.
The best example I have is P Studio giving Persona over to who makes the Muso games, bless? Who does it?
Tecmo Koei.
Yeah, like giving them
I see.
Persona
5
for
Strikers.
Strikers. It wouldn't have made sense for that team to make that game. And so I think there's a little bit of humbleness that needs to maybe be found if you want. What Andy is talking about.
I do agree with that, but I don't know if I'm looking to Naughty Dog for like the humbleness required to be like, hey, we've built up this franchise that is one of the biggest franchises of PlayStation, and we've done it by being all hands on deck and putting our passion, blood, sweat, and tears and full control over this thing. Now we're gonna give a major entry into this franchise over to a studio that you formed
An
5 years
unproven
ago.
studio.
An unproven
Yeah.
I think of the Firewalk thing I think we've talked about like why did we end up getting Concord instead of that studio making The Last of Us? And I think the worry for Naughty Dog might be, well, what if that studio ends up concording Last of Us where it comes out and it comes out to a thud, and now we have this major mark on our IP that we've built up, that we've worked on, that we've done all this stuff on, and they made an entry into it that just didn't live up to what we wanted it to do. We would rather in-house work on it ourselves because we've done Last of Us multiplayer, so we think that we have the capability to do this, even if we don't. But we think we have the capability to make a good one of these.
I mean, the thing that bums me out about it is that I saw several tweets leading up to when that whole cancellation happened from, even friends of ours that were working there and said, man, that was a really cool fucking project. And it's such a bummer. And it does seem like a lot of work was put into it. Whatever those bones are, if you have, I'm just going to throw a number out there. If you have 150 people or 100 people working on this project, bring in whoever these studios are, Firewalk, Bungie, Jade Raymond's studio. I always blank on the studio name. Haven. Start, adding more people to that project, pulling more people from Naughty Dog off, and kind of having the other studios take it home and get it fully 100% ready, as opposed to this project that seemed like
pretty far along,
and it had the basis, it had the bones for a lot of people in these tweets saying like, God dang, that was a really awesome thing we were working on, and it sucks it's not going to see the light of day,
Yeah, and so I don't think we'll ever see another Last of Us multiplayer thing, which breaks my heart because I love Last of Us Factions. It's like on the PS3, probably one of my favorite multiplayer modes on that platform. It was incredible, and I guess still is because they haven't taken down the online servers yet.
Think about how much better the movement got. Think about how much better all of the
stealth,
all the animations, the stealth, the contextual animations the characters had, diving through, diving underneath desks. All that shit was just so.
If you take
fluid.
all that and put it into the factions that we already have, right, and just take that format and go, cool, let's make another 4v4 survival mode or whatever you want to do for multiplayer. That shit would fucking slap. That shit would be so fucking sick. Which is why I think I come back to, I think the problem being that there was probably not the right vision as far as how you're going to monetize and continue to make ongoing content for it. Cause it's I think that stuff is very time consuming, and I think they fucking,
of course,
misjudged that shit. And I think because of that, I think what it would take to make a full-fledged multiplayer Last of Us thing is just I think it's too much for probably any studio to do. Because even for Naughty Dog to go, hey, Firewalk, or hey, Haven, make one of these, I think that would still require adapting the systems of a Last of Us.
Maybe because we're talking about if we could have gone back in time and talked to them and everybody right across the board. Maybe now that this has happened and you hear rumors of Guerrilla making a multiplayer game, but also there being the Guild Wars people. NCSoft. NCSoft making a Horizon MMO. Maybe if you see success in PlayStation IP being treated that way, that would open the idea of Naughty Dog one day being well, now that we know we can't do this, somebody else could go and make a Division style Last of Us. Now, again, I say all this, and of course, live service was met with a fucking thud and dud over here at PlayStation, right? With the exception of Helldivers, but Concord, and I'm talking more the reaction from the gamers and gamer landscape of like, we don't want a dozen live service games, and they've dialed back that number. Concord obviously was a huge disaster. What is that? Do we actually ever see fair games? What is that? Marathon's a whole different question mark too. Like I think the honeymoon was over for PlayStation and live service games before it ever actually happened, which both sucks because you would have loved to have seen The Last of Us be a part of it, but the fact that Last of Us was like the first one to go down is a great example of them being like, yeah, no, this isn't the future.
There was the Spider-Man multiplayer thing that like had like trailer that leaked earlier in the year. Like they had stuff that if all the stars aligned could have been fucking awesome between a Last of Us multiplayer game, a Spider-Man multiplayer game, and then Marathon and like all this shit. If all this shit aligned, could be awesome, but I think the fact that it's not aligned is a sign that no, this is just not going to work to have your studios that are known and that are built to make these single player things, these prestige single player titles, try to make these multiplayer versions of their games. Yeah, like I and that's another reason why I think this isn't going to happen. To your point of the honeymoon, or the did you say honeymoon?
Yeah, I said the honeymoon was over before it started.
Yeah, exactly. The honeymoon's over, right? Even if PlayStation wants to reapproach Naughty Dog and go, hey, let's give this to somebody else. Like I don't even think they want to. I think at this point it's let's get past this shit.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do multiplayer stuff, we will, maybe work with third parties and have them work on their own IPs or whatever. We're not gonna make a PlayStation vertical for online service or whatever, or live service video games. I think that ship has sailed.
I agree. Andy. Everybody, that's another episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast in the bank. Remember, each and every weekday we come to you live with the biggest topics in video games, whether they be reviews like yesterday's Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom review, right? That's what that's the subhead. Yeah. Okay, cool. Or tomorrow's Monster Hunter Wilds preview. We have all sorts of good stuff for you each and every day here, just like we do on Kind of Funny Games Daily. Remember, of course, if you like what we are all about, that's live talk shows. Pick up a Kind of Funny membership on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or patreon.com/kindoffunny to get all of our shows ad-free. Support us, get Gregway, and of course, get all of the afternoon podcast lives. We record them. We are not done with our programming day. We are about to stream a whole conversation and some gameplay from Batman Arkham Shadow with the devs. And after that, there is a sponsored stream. So if you're on Twitch, don't go anywhere. If you're on YouTube, there's a new link. And until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.